So the Norwegian expansion for A Feast for Odin lists several cards that are banned for competitive play. So here they are: the Tutor, the Adventurer, the Princess, the Scribe, the Refugee Helper, and the Seafarer. There's also the Meat Buyer, which, due to the Norwegian expansion itself, is rendered obsolete, and the Farmhand, that is also rendered obsolete with the Norwegian expansion, as you see there. So, what do all of these cards do? Well, I've created a little banned cards tier list right here. We can kind of look through and start with the first one. We've got the Refugee Helper, and that makes immigration cost 2 less. The Tutor, which anytime you can turn a coin into playing a card. All right, so that could be actually pretty useful to use those 3 Viking actions. The Princess, that is when you build a home, when you build a house, you can get one of these nice 3 blues. That'll be pretty useful. The Adventurer, which lets you go to that really cheap 1 Viking, grab an island position, but instead of using 2 or 3 Vikings to grab some of the better islands, you actually only need to use one Viking. Also, you can use any boat that you want as well. You don't have to worry about using the biggest boat to grab the best island. You can just use 1 Viking for some of the really great islands out there. So that's actually pretty powerful. I could see that being really great. And then we have the Seafarer, which is during the scoring. If you have 2, 3, or 4 exploration boards, then you'd get 4, 9, or 16 total extra points, extra victory points at the end of the game. So that's pretty nice, actually, there. And then the last one, the exploration and immigration, gives you a rune. Okay, so anytime you do either of those, again, that's something that's helping the immigration, which is one of the strategies that some would consider overpowered. Now let's look at these other 2 that are rendered obsolete with the Norwegian expansion. The Norwegian expansion is not on Board Game Arena as of now, 2022 May, but we'll see what they do. So the Peddler, place any Vikings in the livestock market, and then the total cost there will be 1 less. Okay, and then we have the Meat Buyer. Instead of the 2, I guess 2 fish, you would get a meat and a fish, a larger meat, a 6 meat. Or instead of 2 4-length meats, you would get only 1 4-length meat and a 6 meat. Okay, so those, I guess, are maybe a little bit better in the base game, I'd imagine, because they have 0 on their points, but it would appear that they're not as great in the Norwegian expansion. So we see here the board for A Feast for Odin and the different actions that you can do. A lot of these immigration actions, there's 3 different ones that you could abuse there. There was that Shetland Faroe Island action. See the Refugee Helper right there. Then you go to the Tutor. Any of these actions on the 3rd row could be used, and some of these are actually pretty good. Then the Princess, when you build homes. So what is building homes? That's just these 2, maybe this one as well. Yeah, any build homes. So any of these in this row would get you pretty nice, something that I feel is worth at least 3 extra victory points. And then the Adventurer. So that is right here, this spot right there. Really only 1 island spot or 1 action space you can take. So I feel like the Adventurer is easily blockable. I think that's important when considering these banned cards is it easily blockable or not? For the Seafarer, that's just at the end of the game, getting 4, 9, or 16 victory points. So we got the boats, 3 different places that you could grab boats. So that's a little bit harder to block. Also, there's a limited amount of islands, so that's something to consider. And then the Scribe. That one is all across the map. You've got immigration actions, and you have grabbing islands. So that would be even harder to block than just the refugee helper that we talked about. Okay, so really quickly, we're going to go through. This guy's saying that not only are these banned, but he feels like some of these others should be banned, and I'll just go through them. The peddler, the craft leader, the collector, the locksmith, the slowpoke, steward, the pirate, ship architect, arms dealer, the meat merchant, a pea counter. Really? The tutor, the judge, disheartened warrior, warmonger, laborer, lance bearer, a drunkard, lone wolf, robber, loot hunter, skinner, barbarian, whaling assistant, flax farmer, the Bosporus traveler, the cod liver oil presser, the maid. I've heard a lot of people say they think the maid's overpowered. The beach raider, and the Bosphorus merchant. Okay, so with that, take it as you will. I don't actually know all of these. I thought it was kind of funny that the P, where was that? The P counter was on there. I don't think that one's very, super highly powered really at all. But I mean, it's just normally if you have P's, you have to, the first P is straight up or like horizontal, and the second P you got to do straight up. But I guess the P counter allows you to do multiple horizontals, I believe. I don't see how that one extra thing on this feast board is going to really help you. But let's look at what a competitive player is saying. So, ban list for competitive play on Board Game Arena. They mention these cards. Then they say all these cards are capable of generating 10 or more points of tiles or silver, or the equivalent in an action economy during the game, which is enough to swing the game between strong players. It would probably be good to have an option to play without these cards, especially once Arena is available. These are written based on the Norwegian's context, but this is still at the least a list of the most powerful cards. All right, so Keith Hendricks, we've looked at him before in a previous video. He's definitely contributed a lot to the Feast for Odin experience and giving a lot of strategy tips. He says, no, I have seen the Refugee and Seafarer recently. Were these cards eventually banned? Nope. I'm not sure that they need to be banned, though, at least in 3 to 4 players games with a good amount of competition. So he's saying you play a 3 to 4 player game, then maybe 2 or 3 people can gang up on the one guy who's got the nice special occupation card that is banned. Even playing Refugee Helper only means other players will be more aggressive with immigrations. So the tutor lets you play a lot of cards, but you still have to do a lot of card draw actions to make it worthwhile. 3 Viking actions are strong, but speculating in them so as to abuse the tutor ability can be a risky gamble. Adventurer is only good until all the islands are gone. As there are only 6 double-sided exploration boards on Board Game Arena, the card is of limited usefulness currently. I imagine sometimes all the islands are all the islands are claimed before some people get adventure on the table. I try to play my cards quick, but I see a lot of people holding on to them round after round. The princess might give you a couple silverware. I usually end with 3 to 4 houses regardless of my cards. So if you're playing with me, I'm giving you some stiff competition for that silverware making ability. Houses are premium victory points, especially at high player counts, where everyone is fighting over them. So, in a 4 player game, especially, I see the Princess as being a limited card compared to, say, the Cottager, which you could save for a big mead payout and activate your house bonuses, then go on to make some pelts. I think I know the Refugee Helper is a card that you can start with, so that could help you the rest of the game. Is the Princess one that you can start with? I'm not quite sure, but if you could start with that, then you could make those 3 to 4 houses, each of them get a silverware if you started with it. Anyways, in two-player, perhaps some of these cards might become obnoxious as they would create too much of a one-sided dynamic. So I guess I would be okay with removing them in competitive two-player games. But at 3 to 4 players, I don't see them determining a winner. So, moral of the story, as far as what Keith Hendricks says, is just play with more than 2 players. All right, so does that totally fix it? Maybe. All right, so with that, I'm going to end this video just ranking them real quickly how I feel that they should probably be ranked. Since you start with the refugee helper, I think that one could definitely get some use out of it. So I'll put it in A tier. Then you've got the tutor. That would be very difficult to block. You'd have to be speculating on each of the different 3 Vikings places, and then just paying 1 coin, having coins available to play those cards, and you could just have a ton of cards from that. So I'm gonna put that um, maybe an A tier, a little bit above the refugee helper. The princess I'll put in B tier because that's just 3, 6, 9, maybe 12 if you really did 4 houses the whole game of victory points. Um, okay, and then the whereas the refugee helper, you may just do a ton of immigrations, which are already good to do. Yeah, possibly even better than building homes. All right. And then the adventurer. I feel like this one would be easily blocked. I could be wrong, but there's only one space that you can do it with. The seafarer only counts at the end of the game, and sure, that can swing it over 10 points, but I don't think you really want to have that many exploration boards. I'm gonna put that pretty low in D tier. And then the scribe, I'll put um, uh, I'll put that one a little higher, actually. I'll put that one in A tier as well. I think, no, I'll put that even higher because, having the runes, that's basically 2 victory points, and you're covering tiles on the board. You can't use them as food like the money that you'd be saving, but that's more spaces, not just the refugee actions, but also taking islands. So I'm going to say Scribe is the highest one. None of these are worth more than 1 victory point. A lot of the higher ones are actually worth 0 victory points. And so, yeah, those are all the overpowered banned cards and their tier lists, as you can see there. Hopefully, you enjoyed watching this. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day.